Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Supervision Matters podcast with Rita Sever, a leadership coach, HR consultant, and author of Supervision Matters and Leading for Justice. So welcome, everyone. Today's topic is about the most important questions for supervisors to ask of themselves and their staff, and how often do we do this? So, Rita, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Great to be back. I'm doing well, thank you.
Are you feeling the flavors and of fall and just that whole weather shift?
Yeah, I'm in Northern California. It's raining, it's cool, it's lovely.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in this question of what you ask yourself as a supervisor and your staff. So what is the most important question?
So I think it's a question that I want to encourage supervisors to keep in their pocket, to keep it ready for when they need it. So it isn't that you have to ask this all the time. We've talked over so many months about how to have regular meetings and giving feedback and staying in touch. But this is an important question, particularly when a supervisor is a little confused or something is like, you feel like something's not right here, something's going on. And I'll say the question and then we can talk about it. It's a two-part question. The first question is, does this impact the work? And then the second one is, how does this impact the work? Because times when something's going on and it makes you a little uncomfortable as a supervisor or coworker, staff member, and when it comes down to it, it's really something maybe personal going on, and it's not impacting their work at all. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they had a fight with their spouse. Maybe, they had a little fender bender coming to work and they're not the same as they usually are. And so asking the question, how is this impacting their work, helps you clarify if it's something that you need to pay attention to. Doesn't mean you ignore it if it's something personal. You can still say, how you doing? Everything okay? But you know how to approach it. They're not going to get in trouble because it's not impacting their work.
Well, it's a good question. I think like when you use the example of a fender bender and someone comes in, they may be not wanting to say it impacts them because maybe they hurt more than they're still in an adrenaline shock maybe. And when someone says, is this going to impact work? It could be actually yes, because now I'm starting to hurt. Maybe I should go see a doctor. And if it is, how? Okay, maybe we need to get somebody to take your shift over,
Right.
so it's not necessarily negative, right? And maybe, no, it's not going to impact work. Maybe, hey, if I can just take half an hour to calm down, or that may
Right.
not be and I'll work late.
Or,
It's,
I
yeah.
don't want to talk about the fight I had at home. I just want to get to work. Leave me alone. I'm a
Some
little.
of us really like work for situations, and I may want to work late and for no extra pay. I don't want to go
That's
home
an
right now.
HR issue. We won't go there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is such a good one because it could be personal problems like you're saying, or it could be even we've talked about having meetings and, hey, I want to go on vacation at this time. And we've talked about that, about
Right.
asking for, it could be, a big anniversary like you've had. And, I want to go on vacation at this time. Is that okay? And is it going to impact,
Right. And if so, how are we going to handle that?
Mm. So and is it also maybe something to use if someone has an idea they want to implement that may take extra like teamwork or extra, how is this going to impact like even what they're doing already?
Right. And, then there's more questions to follow that because maybe somebody has a great idea how to implement a new procedure or something. And yes, it will impact the work. Will it impact other people? Yes, but it'll be good. It might be yes, 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 or it might be no. I hear it would make your part of the job better, but it would make the people down the line much worse off. So that's not going to
I like it because it means like people are coming together on the same page.
Yes, and I think the usefulness of it is to help, again, as a supervisor, your job is to support them in their work. It's not to make sure they're always happy or always getting along with people. It's about getting the work done. And again, if you've listened to me at all, you know that I'm all about supporting people. So it doesn't mean you ignore the other parts, but to help you think your way through your steps as a supervisor, knowing if it's impacting the work and how it's impacting the work.
Mm, okay. Because positive, yeah, it could be positive or negative or neither, neither
Right.
nor.
Yeah, I have a section about this in my book, Leading for Justice. And the example I use is two people who have been close colleagues, good team members, friends for years. And then suddenly you realize they're not talking to each other. What's going on? They're not having lunch together, which they usually did all the time, and you can't help but notice it. So then asking yourself this question, how is it impacting the work, will help you know which way to go with this.
Mm,
If it's not impacting the work and, you've checked with each of them and they say everything's fine, then it might just be that it's making you uncomfortable, that everything's not all nice and
mm.
friendly, but it's really none of your business. Where if it
So
isn't
that
yeah, and then you may have to sit with your own discomfort.
Mm,
Uh, but if it is impacting the work, either directly, they're not communicating about things they need to be, or indirectly, in that the tension is so present in the office that it's making everybody else nervous, then that is impacting the work. So it
mm,
isn't just the productivity, teamwork, communication, the culture. How is it impacting all of that?
mm. Yeah, I like this. So the supervisor needs to ask it of themselves, ask it of the staff, and use that like you're saying. And you might even become known as a supervisor for asking that each time. So even the staff may go, he or she's going to ask this question, so you might as well get it straight in your head
Right. Yeah.
if you get
And I
known for
think
that.
it's helpful to think about when you might ask them and when you might ask yourself. So I think I would ask a staff member again. I may not ask it all the time, but if someone is raising concerns or complaints about another staff member, how is it impacting the work? That's really important information. So it doesn't just turn into a complaint fest.
I think it's an important question right now in regards to technology changes that we're having. I know we're so hooked to our phone. Is this impacting your work that you're checking Facebook 10 times a day? How much is it? You
Absolutely.
know,
Right.
you store and see someone just sitting at the cash register playing games on their phone and not
Uh,
even say, hi, how are you?
right.
And the impact thing, I love this question because how is it impacting work, right? How is it the productivity right now with technology? How are the chatbots really working for your websites and communication with your clients? So to me, I see this as a extra fold of, oh, we're going to implement this. It's going to take all this time away, but how is it going to implement, like, how is it going to impact customer experience? The
Exactly.
bottom line, and AI right now, this whole thing, California just did a new law October 1st about actual hiring and of employment, like the hiring and firing and all of that part of it, and it's an employment law on using AI to go through people, and that's
Oh,
kind of an interesting thing, and I'm like, I haven't read through it all, but I just discovered that I'm like, "This is getting interesting," because
yeah.
how does AI impact what you're doing? You may think it saves time, but is it? So it's
Right.
kind of a nice way of follow-up on how people are doing. Maybe they wanna go to a course or the education side. "Hey, I wanna take this course." Well, do you think it's gonna really impact, you know?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Because sometimes we just want to do the new thing, whatever it is. Let's get in on that. And asking this question, can the answer might be absolutely. This is going to make people more efficient and more effective and give them more time to be with
Mhm.
customers. Or it might be not really. It's going to make us more distant from our customers.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know you do a lot of workshops and training, so that has to be a conversation within the company. "Hey, we're gonna hire Rita." So Rita comes in and maybe somebody's coming in for a specific thing, and then they learn, like, oh, we've been doing it all wrong. This is going to impact this. Like, so as a supervisor, is this a way to follow up on education, not just the projects they're working on? Like maybe they went to some thing like AI, some big tech
Right.
thing. They're all like, this is going to do this. They come back and it is, I would say, the supervisor's duty to ask, is this going to impact work? And they're going to go, you know what? I think it sucks because it's going to do this.
Right.
It might be a negative. And they all got excited, but I think it makes everyone more reality based.
Right. It's more grounding. It's a question when I do evaluations after a training, that's one of the questions I ask. How do you imagine this will impact your work? It's
That's
very
cool.
powerful. Um, I
Yeah.
think another interesting time to ask the question as a supervisor is when somebody tells you something that seems a little irrelevant, like you're talking about their performance and maybe they say something like, well, this only happens when payrolls due. Huh. How does that impact the work? What's that got to do with anything? But
Yeah.
asking how it impacts the work keeps it grounded in what matters. And maybe you find out that, the payroll clerk is a bully or something. That's really important to know. So every time payroll's due, suddenly they're nervous and not doing their work very well. But that stray comment that seemed almost irrelevant was the key to finding out what was going on.
Mm. So yeah. And it again gets it. And it's not accusatory or it's judgmental in that you can judge whatever in your head, but it's not judgmental in that
Right.
way.
It's discerning. It helps you discern what's going on.
Oh, that's a good word. That's a good word.
So those
So
are a
you,
few
yeah.
examples of when you might wanna ask that of the employee directly, when something again, when their performance is not up to par and there's something missing, then ask about, "So what's going on?" Not to avoid the feedback, but just to make sure you understand.
Mm,
And then as a supervisor, ask yourself, we've talked about this when we talked about feedback, that join formula.
mm,
Join, um, observation, impact. That's the how does this impact the work?
mm,
So that's something really important for a supervisor to know when they're making changes or when they're giving feedback, when they're introducing a new team member. How is
oh,
it impacting the work?
and that keeps gossip at bay in
It
a way.
can, yeah.
What if it says, what the answer no? How is this going to impact work? Is it no? Then why is it already lingering to me?
Right, yeah, and what's happening? Because maybe they're right, but I would still watch it and see. It's a
Mm,
you already have the question, then you're probably picking up on something,
mm,
and if you can't see how it's connected, maybe put it on the back burner, but come back to it.
mm,
Like that example of the tension in the office. If you ask everybody, is this impacting the work? The first time you ask, they might say, no, 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 it's fine. But if you ask again a week or two later, they may say, well, yeah, I notice I'm walking around somebody literally and figuratively because I don't want to deal with them right now.
oh, so it's about that the office vibe because it should be positive and again, if it's detracting, that's not good. So you don't so again, it's not like you're taking the emotional drama out.
Right. And it doesn't
Mhm,
mean, again, I want to underline, it doesn't mean that you don't care about the person, but you don't also get so caught up in the personal stuff that you forget what your job is
mm,
and let
okay.
them forget what their job is.
Mhm. Is there a line on how much people should be telling HR, like, as the employees? Like, say you have, like, a personal drama going on at home. Like, if you're always whining about it, that could to me, I don't wanna be I mean, I'm not being mean or anything, but sometimes negative, whining, complaining people can totally kill the united spirit. Like, first time, it's fine, but we have those people in the world, right? That just don't stop and they almost create their own drama. It's like they attract
Right.
drama. and they stay in drama just so that it's like a comfort zone for them. So I'm not
Yeah.
picking, but this is a reality. So if it's one of those people, I think this gets to the quick of it, this question, because they can destroy any positive energy. When a team is like ready to go, let's do this. That's why we have those meetings, right? It's like, yeah, let's get this project done. We have a deadline. Let's go. And so here comes the whiny. Well, my child did this morning, and can you believe? Like, I'm
Right.
already
And
annoyed.
that's again where, my job again, I'm talking about supervision now,
Mhm.
not so much HR. So my job as a supervisor is to have that hard conversation about, how your negativity impacts the team, how, while we care about you as a person, you're using too much time in our meetings and in your workday to focus on your personal life. If there's My line is always, if there's something that's going on with someone and they need help, the best response is to give them time off if you can.
Mhm.
But when they're at work, they need to be focused on work.
Exactly. Well, this is a very focus oriented question. So when you look at the supervisor now, this is not the HR person. They're not a supervisor. They're the in between. And I just want to bubble wrap all HR people because of that in between zone. But it's a good question for a supervisor to go to HR with, right?
Mhm. Or for
Okay.
HR to ask the supervisor. Like,
Oh,
this is again where sometimes cultural differences or styles might if the supervisor hasn't thought about it, they may go to HR and say, there's I'm thinking of an example actually, from my past where there was a preschool and somebody wanted to write up a teacher because she said they were being too loud and too expressive and scaring the children. So all that language made me go, let me check this out. So I went to visit this classroom and the kids loved this teacher, but culturally, they spoke very loudly, much more so than the supervisor, who was very soft spoken. They were very expressive with their body language. And that supervisor interpreted that as wrong. And instead, it was really just a different style and a different approach and a different culture. And so I had to tell the supervisor, there's no problem here that I can see. If you can give me a specific example, then we can talk about this. But I see the children loving her as a
so
teacher.
it's not impacting her work in a negative, but it's impacting in a positive because
Well, or it was the kids
just
just
the
said,
style.
"Oh, okay, she's loud." But
She's
it was,
fun.
yeah. Or, maybe it wasn't relevant to them. She was doing her work, the supervisor was doing their work, but it was a clash of styles, and that was something they just supervisor had to just get over.
The getting over of things. Like, okay, so all of us have like little things that annoy us, right? Like an animal can snore and that's fine with me. They can snore as loud as they want. They can drool. They can, do all kinds of body things that does not bug me. A human doing it, it's a hard no. Like it's just
Right,
no, right? So in a workplace, if someone does certain, like, okay, if someone I think I've mentioned this once, like someone is crunching ice, right? And it's like, that will get me, like, not just on my nerves, but it actually affects, like, it's like, it will. And now, but then on the other side, I need to grow up over it, even though it's like, I have to, cause it's impacting my work, but I think there's also a politeness of what you do and how you present yourself in a workplace in a public space.
right.
But there's a balance there, and that's an interesting thing in the workplace, you know?
Absolutely, and that example, I would probably bring you and the ice chewer together and say, "Is there a way we can be creative about this?" Maybe you wear headphones. Maybe she goes to the break room to chew her ice, who knows?
Yeah,
So
but
it
it's just
isn't directly impacting the work, but it is getting in the way of your
Mm.
being colleagues.
Yeah, well, it's just like, when people used to go on smoke breaks
Right,
and come back in with this fume of smoke, and it would impact everybody sitting there going, I can't handle this. And you could
right,
lose a valuable employee because someone went on a smoke break,
right. Yeah,
but
and there's
we don't,
both parts, like you said, there is part of it is just like, that's their thing, I need to get over it, but there's also, like, can we find a way through this together?
yeah, yeah. Oh man, hearts off, like really to all HR people and supervisors dealing with it, because that's just such a. Do you write notes like in HR for a supervisor and they ask this question? Is this something you would want to document to keep track of? Like if it's.
I recommend that supervisors keep informal track of their regular meetings, just taking notes so they know from one meeting to the next what they're talking about. So in this case, I might just note, Lisa told me ice chewing drives her crazy. So then if you mention it 3 months from now, I can look back and go, "Okay, this came up again. This isn't a one-time thing. We need to do something here. At least try."
Mm,
But nothing formal until you've decided this is there's something going on that is really a problem, and we need to turn it around, and you're
mm.
having that conversation with the employee. Then
Oh,
start
yeah.
officially keeping track.
Now
Before
that would be
that,
if
it's
someone was
more
having
just
like a office affair or something.
right.
You know that stuff happens. It
Yeah.
does.
So before that, it's informal, it's just more as a memory aid than that you're
Okay.
trying to gather your ducks in a row to get somebody in trouble. It's just
Mm.
keeping track of your conversations.
Wow. That's an impactful question.
Yeah, I think
The
it's
yes and no.
it's a really important one. Like I said, my images, I keep it in my pocket so
I
that
like
I
it.
can pull it out when I need it. It's
I like it.
all the time, but
You come up with these questions and like, oh, look at it this way. And I'm like, what good checkpoints? It's kind of like it's like your stoplight, or orange light, and do you go stop, go, let's just wait a minute here. Don't do everything in a split second. So I love that question just in general, because it's like, even where are we spending our time? That's what
yeah,
I look at it immediately, is our time going to something that is not what you're here to do.
exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, I think I've probably mentioned before that one of my metaphors I think of is that at any given point in time, any employee should be able to draw a line between what they're doing and the mission of the organization. If they can't figure out why this impacts the mission or how it impacts the mission, then why are they doing it?
mm.
And that's part of what this question gets to.
Ah, I love it. I love it. And it's so like like you say, grounding, and doesn't hurt people's feelings, and it kind of, well, you never know where it could go later, but
Right.
you never know. You never know. Well, everyone, go to supervisionmatters.com, and I encourage you to sign up for Rita's newsletter. It comes out once a month or so, right? Every
Yeah,
2 weeks, once a month. I love it. You
roughly
always have
like
a
it.
question in there, and learning tools, articles. So definitely go check it out. But always a good time, Rita. And now I've got a new question in my back pocket just for me and for
Great.
things. Yeah. How is this impact? Yeah, that's it, man. Time
All
saver.
right. Great to talk to you as always, Lisa.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Big Blend Radio's Supervision Matters podcast with Rita Sever. Keep up with Rita at supervisionmatters.com and listen to new episodes every third Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on bigblendradio.com.